Good morning, everyone. Thank you all for being here. I hope that everyone has had as amazing of a week that I have. So my name is Rachel Sarah. I am a student at the University of Central Florida, majoring in computer science, and it has been an honor and a pleasure having been one of the student ambassadors here at Ignite this week. Woo, student ambassadors. As someone who's about to be entering into the tech industry, I have to say I think it's a fantastic time to be going into this industry. Not only because of the technological advancements and all the cool products and stuff we've learned about all week, right? But because a successful and influential company like Microsoft would see the value in devoting time to discussing these important issues of diversity and inclusivity. So I would like to thank Microsoft, one, for having me here, but also for creating this space with all of the diversity and tech content that we've been able to hear from these amazing speakers and all these amazing stories. And yeah, I really appreciate their efforts and time devoted to that. So we have a fantastic panel for you today. I'm going to start out just having all of our panelists introduce themselves. So we'll just start with Tracy and then go down the line.
Thank you so much, Rachel. And how crazy that we got paired up in this ambassador program. I mean, I've learned so much from her this week. We got the mentor thing wrong, I think. But so my name is Tracy, and so cool to see everyone here this morning, and thanks for being here. I hope you've had a fantastic conference. I'm all the way from South Africa. I'm definitely a little bit different. You're going to see that. But yeah, MVP, glad to be here, love what I do, and we'll definitely be getting to know each other soon.
Hi, my name is Donovan Brown. I'm a people manager at Microsoft, so I run a pretty popular team called The League, and we've had some challenges hiring and some interesting things that happened online when we hired, so I think we can I've learned a lot about building a team, and I can just share some of my experiences of the challenges that I've had.
Hi, my name is Wafa Benterki. I'm CEO and founder of MTY Intelligent Software, a startup that deals with intelligent system. I'm also the president and founder of the Machine Translation Association in Algeria and chair of the Arab Women in Computing Algeria in Algeria. I'm the chair of Arab Women in Computing in Algeria. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Nidhi. I'm a senior program manager in SharePoint Online, which is part of OneDrive and SharePoint. I run the women community within our organization. I also grew up in Kuwait. It's a small country in Middle East, and have been in Microsoft for over 8 years. Have seen a tremendous amount of effort, and have gone through a journey myself. Seeing women grow in tech, and I can share some experiences as we talk and get to know each other more in the next hour. Thank you.
Good morning. This is Nisreen Deep from Beirut, Lebanon. I'm a system analyst working in the Mediterranean shipping company since a few years. I'm a computer science graduate, and I'm the chair of Arab Women in Computing Lebanon chapter. I'm co-founder of an initiative in Lebanon that empowers schoolgirls to go into the STEAM fields and called Girls Got IT. I'm the founder of the Mini Programmer, which is a project funded by the U.S. Embassy of Beirut to teach school kids programming, basics of programming. I'm here as a Tech Women alumni, one of the top 5 tech leaders considered by Tech Women program in 2013, and I'm sharing experiences as a woman in technology in Lebanon and what are the challenges and what's like to be the only female in class until reaching here and speaking in a global stage. Can't wait to share this experience with you. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. My name is Jasheen. It's pronounced like machine with a J, which is why my Twitter handle is Jasheen Machine. And I'm a product marketing manager on Windows, specifically focused on accessibility features. My job has given me the opportunity of interacting with people that really care about accessibility, a big group of those being people with disabilities. And I work with the engineers to understand what are the features we have within Windows to empower people who have accessibility considerations. And then I try to communicate those features in a people-friendly way to external audiences like yourself.
All right. So as you can all see, we have a very talented panel. I'm very excited to ask you all some questions. I'd like to start with Nisreen. You've done a lot of work promoting women in tech, and I was wondering if you could touch a little bit on the challenges that women in tech face in Lebanon, and then also what you think are some of the potential solutions and what you've done to help women.
Sure. My personal experience is I was like, the first time I entered my class in computer science in the university, I was the only female in class, over 35 men. And this is what I shared in my presentation on Tuesday here. So it was a big challenge to me to pursue my computer science degree. And then after I pursued my master's degree in the American University of Beirut, and I was working in parallel as a software engineer. From like moreover 10 years, I just found that fine, the society is a man-dominating one, especially in Lebanon and the Arabic country, and we all know this. But I don't like to always speak about the society is a man-dominating. Fine, let's just find a solution, and let's just put the woman on the right track. What we miss in Lebanon exactly is not having the man dominating. What we miss exactly is the women themselves. They are not confident enough to go into these fields. They are always shy to ask questions. They are always shy to raise their hands. They are always like overthinking, overanalyzing. So what we found in Lebanon, in order to solve the solution, we're not going to wait till the women will go to the university and choose already their major. So we have to start in a very early stage. And this is what we did in Girls Got IT. We are inspiring schoolgirls from ages 15 till 17. So before they choose the major, we are going to introduce them what the STEAM field, science, technology, engineering, arts, and math, can bring them in the future. We are doing we've done around more than 6 events in Lebanon, and we targeted very rural areas. So we inspired more than 2,000 schoolgirls by doing workshops from different startup companies as well to engage all the ecosystem in parallel and to bring very inspiring speakers. And I do remember one girl in a very rural area in Lebanon. After we've done the event, and at the end of the event, we are celebrating the success. We are collecting feedback from the girls. So she was just told us, she came on the stage and she said, "Thank you. It's my first time I see a laptop live, and I work on it." So what we found, they just need a push. They just need a support, and mainly from the woman in the field. We are not going to wait a support from anyone else. We can support each other here on the table. And this is what women really need. So I've mentioned this before, and I will always mention this quote. It's not for me, it's for Mrs. Madeleine Albright, that said, "There is a special place in hell for the women who don't help other women," which is really true. So this is what we are doing currently in Lebanon. We are working on many stages. First, on the schoolgirls through Girls Got IT. And second, on the university students through the Arab Women in Computing and the Tech Women events, where we are doing hackathons. We've done the first women-only hackathon in Lebanon in 2015, and this was an amazing success in Lebanon. And it gathered more than 50 students from different universities in Lebanon. They had very basic experience about coding. We did for them workshops, and they were able to code a mobile application at the end of the day and pitch it. This was the first woman-only hackathon in Lebanon, and this I got inspired by the LinkedIn Developer Hackathon I've participated in 2013 through my experience in Tech Women. So if we are few women from Lebanon are going to those programs or are being accessible to those programs and international experiences, they have to give back to their community. They have not to be selfish, to just go back to Lebanon, just like what I'm doing and the other Tech Women alumni are doing, and doing events, doing workshops, inspire the others. Just volunteer and put some commitment in order to help each other.
Wow, I mean, there's so many great points. Give back, support each other, and then show young people, hey, this is an option for you. It's an option for anybody, anybody from any different, diverse perspective. So Wafa, you are a founder and a CEO of a company, which I think is fantastic, and you've done work to encourage more women to be entrepreneurs and encourage entrepreneurship. So if you could talk a little bit about that work.
Well, That's true. I belong to many communities. In fact, I'm a Tech Women alumni as well. And last year I was, in 2017, I was named, and 2018 I was named Women in Data Science Ambassador to Algeria by the Stanford University. And also, I was selected by the African Union in the Committee of Women Experts for Africa Social and Economic Development, in addition to my work as an NGO president in Algeria. So what we are working on two different axes. So the first one is getting more women or more researchers in AI, with a special focus in AI, and also a special focus on technology startups. So last year, in 2016, we organized the first international summer entrepreneurship summer school, which was attended by 4,000 students. They were not female, they were male and female, they were students. And we brought many eminent researchers and eminent coaches from the States, from UK, from different parts of the world. And recently, as I belong also to the Smart City team in Algeria, we recently organized the Smart Cities Summit in Algeria. So a big work is done, even first to improve the ecosystem. There's a work I am doing also in collaboration with the MIT University. It's the regional, the RIP, MIT, it's called MIT RIP. It's the regional program for MIT RIP, Regional Accelerated Entrepreneurship Program. So this program is to improve ecosystems and allow them to get to targets. You start with a target and they help you to. So what we are doing, to summarize what I wanted to say, is that I don't focus only on females. Mm-hmm. I focus on all those who are struggling, who has the difficulty to get to where they want to go. So there are some students also we want to inspire. In Algeria, we have both problems are witnessed with by females and males also. We have the same. We don't have a kind of segregation. So and even more, we have most women in the universities than men, and they are most of the time they are graduating valedictorian of their classes. So what we want to do is to have a youth that is responsible, that is more educated, and who can be innovator and have as role models. We try to have a good impact on the youth, on the women, and by consequence, we want to improve our ecosystem.
Yeah, fantastic. Get people out there who are innovators and give them the tools to create and solve problems, right?
Exactly, yes.
That's fantastic. So one issue with underrepresented groups in tech is lack of retention. Sometimes we get into the pipeline, but then we lose those people for whatever reasons. Nidhi, what have you noticed? Because you've been in tech a long time, and so what strategies have you found that your company has done, Microsoft, to retain you?
That's an awesome question. So I've been in Microsoft for over 8 years, almost 9 years now. And one thing I noticed along the way was, there were a lot of women that, we recruit, and, there's a good diversity and a good mix. Along the way, I noticed that, some of my friends, when they got married, they had kids. As new moms, some of them, started, they just gave up work, and they gave family their priority, which was the right thing to do. One thing I want to mention is, so I have two kids. I have a boy and a girl. They're 7 and 3 years old. One thing I noticed along the way that Microsoft has been doing really has put a lot of initiative is for new moms, or when women they get pregnant, how do you ramp down their work so they can go on maternity leaves. They can spend the due time that they should spend bonding with their kids and the new family and everything. And then there's a special emphasis and focus on bringing back the new moms back to work. So as moms, I can say from my experience, there's always that guilt, or you always feel that, oh my God, I'm at work 8 hours, where's my kid? There's a lot of initiatives at Microsoft. Well, to begin with, one, when new moms come to work, we make sure that the right amount of work, being scoped out, if they're on live site, the right amount of focus is there. There's support by their team, by their managers, by community, by the women community that we have within different organizations, and even diversity and tech community like, us over here. So they help new moms not have that guilt and be able to have the right balance between work and life, because you can't choose one over the other. You want to do the right thing of giving the right time to your family, to your kids, to your babies, but also make the impact. So that's an awesome initiative I've seen at Microsoft. Excuse me. And some of my friends, they unfortunately dropped off along the way, and I wish that some of the initiatives were kicked off early on, with focus on having women in tech community, but also as along the life and the journey they have, they grow their family, they're also able to still make the same impact that they want to, and still continue to grow and continue to impact. So we have a women community within different organizations. I'm part of the office organization. One of the things I'm focusing more on is, as new moms come back to work, how do we make sure they're able to still have the right work-life balance, and at the same time, still able to enjoy the work, enjoy the time that at work, and be able to still spend time with their new babies. And this is not just for married women. You can adopt kids, you can adopt. So it's not just for married women itself. You could be a single mom, you could be a single dad, right? Through our lives, we all have different journeys and relationships that we go through, and that's something I am amazed, and I feel awesome. I feel lucky, being part of Microsoft, where there's special focus and initiative on this. Just want to raise awareness more on that. That along your, as you have friends and you have family, who are having, they're adopting kids or they're having babies. Make sure to support them. Support them in any way that you can, so they're able to be themselves, be able to not have to choose one over the other, and go through their life. Work, have fun. Spend time with their family.
Yeah, fantastic. And yeah, maternity leave and paternity leave are really important.
Exactly. It's
issues,
not
right?
just for mom. Dads also go. When we had both our kids, right? Dads also go through a journey of, they also go through the emotional stages of, well, they're not pregnant, but you still go through the journey of, having a kid. Baby's born. They also go through a whole cycle of. They don't go through the whole hormonal thing, but you go through the whole cycle of. Yeah, there's an emotional roller coaster, right? Waking up at night, dads wake up at night, right? You feed the babies, they also have to wake up and go to work. So it's not, really just women. Exactly. As a family, you and your significant other raise a kid.
Yeah.
So there's special focus on both, and it should be special focus on both.
Definitely. Work-life balance is for everyone. That's not just a thing for women or for men, and everybody, right? So one thing that's been really great about the diversity in tech content this week is we've touched on so many facets of diversity. And so, Jasheen, I know you mentioned earlier you work in accessibility, and I was wondering if you could share some thoughts on inclusive design.
Yeah, absolutely. I do feel, as someone who's a big proponent of diversity and as someone who works in accessibility, oftentimes disability is something that is overlooked in the diversity inclusion conversation. And I do think that a lot of that is rooted in sort of an older, archaic societal attitude towards disability as something that's wrong with a human being, as something that you need to fundamentally fix. But that cultural conversation, I think, is shifting and evolving into one that's a lot more progressive, where the CDC has actually adopted a definition of disability as not something that's wrong with a human and something that needs to be fixed, but rather a mismatch between a person and their environment. So it's not because you are incapable or don't meet a certain threshold, but rather the environment around you is not being adapted in a way that you can succeed and just reach your full potential. So I love that definition of that mismatch between you and your environment, because it also lends us to realize that disabilities are prevalent. There's permanent, temporary, and then situational disabilities. So, you may come into disability because you're born with something. You may be injured, so you may face a temporary disability as you have a cast around your arm or you're recovering from surgery. Or maybe you're a new parent or holding a baby, going up the stairs, or perhaps carrying a bag of groceries. I know in college I did that a lot, walking up the dorm room stairs. And at the top of the stairs, of course, I would hip check the wheelchair accessible door to help open the door for me. Even though I didn't have a permanent disability, I still benefited from the innovation that was originally designed for someone with a permanent disability. So I love that disability and accessibility is becoming an increasing part of the conversation, because it just goes to show that people are shifting their attitude around it. And disabilities are prevalent. 1 in 4 U.S. citizens have a disability, and 1 in 3 U.S. households have a family member with a disability. So it's a significant amount of people, not just the people directly impacted by it, but the communities that they're a part of, the people they love, the people that they work with. It's going to become an increasing part of the conversation, so I'm really glad that it's starting to become a bigger part of the dialogue.
Just one thing to add, sometimes disability is something, that you cannot see. Like, some disabilities you can just see by your eyes, but some you are not. Do you think there are any special focus on, being more cognizant and more aware?
I think, yeah, that's such a great point, Nidhi. Is 70% of disabilities are invisible. And I think part of it is, you go to someone and you say, do you know someone with a disability? And they may not, they think through their friends and they think through visually what their friends look like. And they're like, no, of course I don't. But again, 70% of disability is invisible. And the other thing is, because there has been a stigma around disability for such a long time, not as many people may want to be raising their hands saying, hey, I've got one, because they may feel that already they're going into the workplace with their colleagues thinking that they're not as capable, or not as, if I'm blind, I may have a fear that my colleagues think that I'm not as capable as my sighted colleagues. And so of course they're not going to raise their hands and tell you they have a disability, but again, we've got to shift that conversation so that people feel they're in a culture where disability is not seen as a flaw, but rather as a strength and one of the perspectives that they bring to the table.
Love that. And yet,
just to add something more to that, it's such an interesting topic. We often have an unconscious bias all the time. So one thing that we can all do better is consciously think about the unconscious bias that we have, and make sure everybody's included and nobody feels left out and nobody feels unique or different in any wrong way. So yeah, lots of great stuff you're doing in your area.
Yeah, fantastic points. Inclusion, right? Diversity and inclusion, and that inclusion and belonging, I think, is a very important aspect of that. So continuing on this variety of diversity topic, Tracy, I know you have some thoughts about multiple kinds of diversity, so if you would share.
I absolutely do. So firstly, I have to say, I've got to warn everyone, I was put here right next to Rachel so they can manage my craziness, okay? I can just see it. Shauna's just like monitoring. Is she going to like do something crazy? And I am, okay? So I just want you to take a look at me. My name is Tracy. I'm from South Africa. I'm a crazy pants-wearing biker chick who travels the world with a sheep. I have an insatiable hunger to empower people. And I love tech. I'm not here because I'm a woman. A woman is one of the things that makes me different. I'm different because I had a mom that believed that we can do absolutely everything, and when that doesn't work, you do everything else. Okay? I'm not scared of everything. This girl that stands in front of you doesn't have a single certification to her name. I never went to college. I finished school when I was 14 and I started working. I've never had the opportunity to study, and it didn't stop me. That's what makes me diverse. I work really, really hard, and I'm unbelievably passionate about what I do. And I love what I do. I stick to it. That's what makes me diverse. I've had a tough life. I've had interesting things happen to me. I've had very sad things happen to me. And I've had very, very good things happen to me. And that makes me react different to situations. That makes me diverse. When I'm on tech projects, I think different to other people because of my past, because of my experiences. That's shaped how I make decisions. Also, where I come from, the country I come from, my culture, my religion, of course, and my gender. But there's so much more to it than the things that we can see. Such a cool thing that you said there is that a lot of disabilities, 70% is invisible. That's the same with diversity. I'm convinced of it, that 70% of diversity is invisible. We don't see physical diversity lines. There's so much more to us than the physical thing that you can see about us. So that's something that's very, very important to me. And I remember, how incredibly, what an amazing opportunity to stand here on the stage. This is the second year that I've spoken at Ignite. I never ever thought that would be possible. I thought someone would say to me, you have to go do a certification first. You have no idea what you're talking about. I'm 43, okay, so I turned the magic number 42 last year. For those who doesn't know the Hitchhiker's books, I just want to put it out there. I'm hanging on to it, so I'm 42.20 now. But 43, okay, and I had to work a lot harder in my life because I didn't have those certifications. So I'm very glad for the people that do. I just look at these youngsters. I go like, wow, man, this girl is so eloquent and she's so full of self-esteem and she's so amazing at what she does. And I know that her education has helped her to do a lot of that, which I didn't have. It took me a lot longer to learn the big words, right? Because I was a blue collar. We worked and we figured things out, okay? I think something that's important for me, and that's typically me standing up. I'm so outstaged, Donovan. You're going to have to stand up as well when you talk. But I just wanted you to see my cool leggings. My leggings, they've got a name. It's I See You. But what I wanted to just tell you, and it's something I shared last year at Ignite, and I was absolutely amazed with how many guys stayed behind and chatted to me, because I'm judgmental too. I think it's only girls who are, sensitive. I don't always remember that guys struggle with things too, and they struggle with things like inclusion. And I said to them that, and I'm very, very passionate about this. I said, please be careful to tell yourself that you're being excluded. Inclusion sometimes comes from here. When I eventually looked back at my life and I thought about how many opportunities I missed, and it's so quick to say, oh, it was because I'm a girl, I didn't get that job or that project, or because I'm from South Africa or whatever it is, I was too old or I wasn't skinny enough or something. It's so easy to do that, to find excuses, right? I can promise you, so I'm going to ask you to just stand up with me, please, Donovan, if you don't mind. In my career, I had a lot of times when I came up to like superheroes like this man next to me. And both of us would have this opportunity that say, hey, Trace and Donovan, there's this project. We think one of you would be so greatly suited for it. You both have the right skills for it. I think you guys should go for it. So let's see if we can figure this out. You know what I would do? I would step back and go, Donovan, I think you're the man for the job. For so many years of my life, I excluded myself because I felt I wasn't good enough. I wasn't excluded by him or by my boss. I didn't include myself because of an extremely low self-esteem. And I know that you would never say that. The people that knows me very closely knows that this is true. Got a very bad low self-esteem, and it's something I struggle with every day. Crazy Pants is a superhero cape that I wear to help me cope with not having the guts to speak to people or have crazy things to say. Please remember to include yourself. Don't wait for someone else to include you, because then you're going to sit at that bus station for the rest of your life.
Yeah. I love all of what you said, right? A lot of that resonates with me, and I think that that aspect of diversity not being seen, we have a lot of things in common with each other that we don't know, until we get to know each other. And then differences too, and then celebrating those differences. That's what diversity is about, right? So as someone who is going to be entering the workforce soon, I would love to know from you, since you are a manager, and again, you've been with Microsoft a long time, what qualities do you look for when looking for someone on your team?
It's a simple question. I look for the best. It's that simple, right? And I don't care what color you are. I don't care how old you are. I don't care what your sexual orientation is. I just look for the best. And that can sometimes get me in trouble too, because sometimes like, well, you didn't look hard enough for women. I was like, that's interesting because you know nothing about my hiring practices. I was telling you this story about, I built a team recently. It was the first time I ever built a team at Microsoft. And I said to myself, this is a very unique opportunity, Donovan. You're going to get to go handpick your entire team. Most people get thrown into management and adopt a team, but you literally get to go hire everyone you want. It's like, wow, what an opportunity to go build this amazing group of individuals. And I said, okay, I know who I want. I've worked with people in the past. People would impress me in the past, and I knew who I wanted. And I went after an individual. They were not able to join. So then I went off to the next person, and I got them. And the next person, and I got them. Next thing I know, there's 4 of us. And I'm so proud of them. I go get a photo shoot. We take pictures, and I post a picture on the internet, and all of a sudden I get attacked because it's all guys up there, right? I'm like, wow, you took what should have been a special moment for this team, and you tried to taint it because you have no idea that the first person I went after was a woman. All you saw was this one picture, and you immediately jumped to the conclusion that I went off and I hired only men. That's not what I did. The first person on my super team was supposed to be a woman. Not because she was a woman, but because she's a badass, right? She's just incredible. And she's the first person I went after. She had bigger things frying, and they worked out great for her, but she could not join our team. And after we got attacked publicly on the internet for, oh, it's just a boys' club. I can't believe there's no women on your team. I'm thinking, you have no idea what we went through to build this team. And then when we finally got around to hiring a woman, I almost felt like, man, I don't want to hire her, and people feel like I'm hiring her in a reaction to what happened on the internet. You're going to spoil this for her as well, because if she finds wind of these emails, she's going to think, I'm not hiring her because she's the best. I'm hiring her because I didn't want this flack. So the pressure on hiring her, the bar she had to set was so much higher because I needed to make sure that no one questioned why she was on my team. So it's almost like because of the way that I was attacked, you almost made it harder for me to hire a woman because I had to make sure that she was the best. Luckily, she's freaking awesome too, right? So when you see Jessica Dean on my team, I was like, oh my God, this is so awesome. The icing on the cake was that she was a woman. That wasn't the cake. I did not hire her because she was a woman. I did not hire her because she happens to be a lesbian, right? She checks a couple boxes on the whole diversity thing for me, but that's not why we hired her, right? As soon as you meet her, you realize I need you on my team because you make our entire team better. And it was not because she was a woman. So I am colorblind, which is funny, right? So I heard that part too. I'm like, yep, my disability is invisible as well. And I thought it was also interesting that they were attacking a team that had a black manager, rare enough, especially at Microsoft, an Asian guy, and 2 white guys, but we were all they found something to hate about that team, like without knowing anything about us. So that was really hard for me to do. And I kept thinking, okay, should I have done something more? Should I have tried to go find more women? And my team is so tiny, and when you have a small team, making a small team diverse is really, really hard to do, especially in our industry, right? Because the number of women, as we've all pointed out, is really small. And I think the solution is what you've been doing, right? It's not you go force me to go hire a woman and put her in a place where she's probably going to fail now because I hired her just because she's a woman, but go make sure that they're ready. Make sure that they're the most coveted and the most valuable. People say that we are a group of underrepresented. I don't like that term. I'm not underrepresented. I'm rare. And rare things are valuable. Rare things are coveted. So when you think about that, then you have to ask the question, okay, so why are you rare? Like, why do we not have more people? And the solution isn't just go find them. And any advice for someone coming into the industry, make yourself seen, right? When I searched for Jessica Dean's name after her name was brought to me, there she was, right? I could click on videos and see her. I saw what her expertise was. I could go to her blog post and read about how good she was. And then when you talk to her on the phone, it's like, wow, but if I typed in her name and I didn't find anything, that's a problem, right? I did not wait for someone to come pluck me out of, oh, we need a black person to kind of fill this. That's not what I made myself seen. I worked my ass off to be the best so that when I am on stage behind Scott Guthrie, no one's questioning why I'm on that stage with him, right? So be the best at what you're doing. The rest of it's going to work its way out. But we got to make sure that they have access to the information and the education and the technology to be the best. And that's beautiful what you're doing because you got to start at the root. We're trying to fix all these symptoms, and we're not fixing the problem that we're rare because we don't have access to the things that allow us to be the best at what we want to be.
Yeah, I just want to add one point. You're 100% sure. I agree with you. I just want to mention something, and this starts from a very early stage. It can start like from when the girl she's born. Like the parents and every single one in this room, you should encourage the girls that you can do it and you have to do it. Okay, you can use the iPad at the age of 33 years. At the age of 6 years, you can have the skills to program the application you were using since 3 years. I just want to add something. In the mini programmer project we've done, we had 500 school students from age 8 to 10 learning the basics of programming. And we had the final ceremony. We've chosen top 10 students from every school, one student. And they went and they pitched their ideas and the code they were doing. They were 70% girls, like 7 girls out of 10. And all of them from age 8 till 10. And they did really an amazing applications. I just remember one girl. All of them did very well, except for one girl. She did an amazing mobile application. She've written like 100 lines of code. Yet her mother was not the good support to go and pitch on the stage. She just like was doing like this on the stage and she cried. And like her mother, I saw her shouting on her, "You have to do it, go do it, go do it." I was like, it starts with us as parents. You should encourage your girls, your nieces, not let them be afraid. If at the age of 8 years, she's afraid of going in public and pitch her ideas that she's doing the project since like 8 months, how she's going to be a woman in tech in the future? So yeah, make them skilled enough and courageous enough.
Right. The parent point that you're bringing up, my parents have told me since the day I can remember that I could be anything that I ever wanted to be. There was never brakes put on me. Problem was, I didn't know what I wanted to be until I was like 23 years old, right? But I knew whatever it is that I wanted to be, I could do it. I never had any doubt because my parents continually told me that whatever you want to be, you can be it. And I've noticed I meet a lot of people who don't have that encouragement in their life, and it's really just devastating and sad. And then you meet them and you praise them, and they don't even know how to accept it. They don't even, they're uncomfortable hearing that you think that they're good at something, and it breaks my heart to realize that their parents didn't believe in them. And then when they get it from a stranger, they don't even know how to digest it or how to process that. And it sets them up for failure. So I think that's a really important point as well.
Fantastic. Yeah, let's support each other, right? It kind of ties back into that support system.
One other thing, it's interesting because you say that. Another thing is that the company that you keep is extremely, extremely important. Absolutely. If the people around you aren't going anywhere, you're not going to go anywhere. And even if they start to see you succeed, some of them will tear you down because they failed. Don't let someone else's failures dictate what you can do, right?
And I love the right circle.
Exactly. So the circle around you, personal and professional. I keep really people that are going forward around me, and I try to make sure that I'm helping them go forward as well. Don't just be a leech on the people that you're around, right? Make sure that you're learning something new, can share that information, because you said it really well too. It's like, don't let anything else around you. Don't let the way you look or any disadvantage. And you made no excuses, which I thought was beautiful too. I meet so many people that's like, man, the man is holding me down, or I didn't get this because of that. And it's like, no, that's not what happened, right? I'm a prime example. I went to public school. I had no silver spoon. I just read the books and found something that I was passionate about, which is another thing that you said that was huge. People say, man, when you're on stage, you really like that stuff. I'm like, yeah, I got really lucky. Like, I really like DevOps. Why? I don't know. But I really like it. And when I'm on stage, like, everyone's leaning in, even if they have no idea what I'm talking about, because they can just feel that passion coming off of you. And I believe if you love what you do, you're going to be the best at it, and someone's going to pay you a ton of money to do it, right? People get paid playing video games, right? If that's not the perfect example of if you love what you do and you're the best in the world at it, you can pretty much make a living at anything, and you found something that you were passionate about.
Firstly, I hope everyone's got Twitter. You got to start tweeting that stuff, okay? Hashtag keep good company. We got to get these words out because these are the things we remember afterwards. So just a point on that, the passion. It's unbelievable what passion does. It's unbelievable. It's this light that shines when everything else doesn't work that keeps you happening. You can make yourself happy or sad. You have to understand that. You have a choice every day and go, what are we going to do today? Is it going to be happy or sad? And whatever you decide, you're going to be that. No one has the ability to make us happy or sad, and we forget that. We rely on other people to create our happiness, and that brings me back to that passion. There's something that of course I wrote it on my arm, but SharePoint's there as well. Can we just say that? And PowerPoint's on my back, because PowerPoint's always got my back, baby. But But there's a word written on my arm that I look at every single day that's extremely important to me, and I'm sorry I'm hugging on to the rest of this now. I pronounce it ikigai. It's wrong though, but it sounds nicer, that because you guys can't say that. Apparently it's a South African thing, that sound that people struggle with. It's ikigai, okay? It's a Japanese concept and purpose of being. It's a Venn diagram of 4 circles. I want you to go read that and look that up. I'll tweet it afterwards as well. It's one of the most valuable things in my life. It says, when you do what you love and you're doing what the world needs and you get paid for it, and you're good at it, you've reached balance in your life. And I spent 40 years thinking I didn't have balance because I work mostly 75% work, 10% wine, and 20% sleeping. So I just worked really, really hard, loved what I was doing, but I thought I didn't have balance because something was off. And by the time I turned 40, I looked at that Venn diagram again and I went, you know what, speaking at conferences, I've been speaking at conferences for years, being a trainer, doing blogs, being visible, okay? You know what that does more than anything else, except for a cool dude like this Googling you and finding you, okay? What that really does is it gives you affirmation. Every time someone comments on a blog and says, Trace, you were a life changer today, you really helped me. Or every time someone after a session says, Trace, really enjoyed your session, that's affirmation. So when you have a low self-esteem like me, that really helps me. So by the time I turned 40, I couldn't wait for 40 since the time I turned 30. It was a big thing. I just couldn't wait. Those 10 years couldn't go fast enough. So when I turned 40, I looked at that Venn diagram again that day, and I looked at that hole that was missing for me, which was when you're good at what you do, because I ticked all the other boxes. Do what I love, the world needs it, I get paid for it, but man, I'm not good at it. And I went, you know what, you're being silly. You are good at it. I mean, a couple of thousand people can't be wrong, okay? Maybe you're wrong, but everyone can't be wrong, okay? So I gave myself that piece of credit. And then make it visual. You got to give yourself a naughty badge. I immediately went out and bought myself a Ducati Monster 696, and I named her Ikigai. Okay, so remember Ikigai. That's important. Get balance in life by giving yourself credit for being good at something, because we're all good at stuff. We just don't give ourselves credit.
Yeah, fantastic. I really enjoy all of the advice. You know, be the best and do what you love and have that passion. All of you are very successful. Do any of you have any more pieces of advice for what I can do to get to where you are now?
I'll probably share a story from my personal life, and then I'll get to the summary. So, like I said, I grew up in a small country. Kuwait is in the Middle East. Like you had mentioned, it's male-dominated. A lot of rules are defined, so on and so forth. So my family, it's me and my sister. My dad is an engineer. He, right when we were very small, he made us curious to think about things like, how does a clock work? How does a car work? How do you think the light bulb is working, right? So that curiosity really was a little fire that was in me. And then, I came to US. I went to upstate New York in a school called as RIT for doing masters. And I still remember most of my classes, it was me, and there were like 20 or maybe 30 other guys in the class. And there was a professor, very interesting. He would call whatever, John, Bob, Dave, and he would say, "Oh, that woman engineer, have you done your homework?" And I was like, I also have a name. So, bringing to your point, Tracy's point of, hey, don't make yourself excluded. That's one thing I would definitely say. Initially it was like, I'm not different. I just happen to be in the same class and doing other computer or science classes. So to the point of, don't make yourself excluded. That's one thing. Make sure you promote yourself. Oftentimes I would be the only one doing my own projects because other guys would hang out together because they're in the same lacrosse or soccer, and I was not into those sports. So don't make yourself excluded. Make sure you promote and be the best that you are. To Donovan's point, and eventually, then I applied and I came to Microsoft. To coming back to advice for you is. Don't ever feel that you're alone. I at that time felt that, oh my God, I'm alone. There are like 28 other guys in the class, and I'm like one sitting in the very front all by myself, but everybody else is away. So don't ever feel that you're alone. Don't feel discouraged. There are lots of we're in the technology world now where we are very connected. There's all these communities, and you can find similar groups with similar ideas and motives online. So don't feel alone. Connect with other people, and also, when you're on the journey, help other folks who are in that journey. So, to your point, is make yourself you're with people that are that same ideas, who want to grow. So do all of that, be the best that you are. You're already in the tech industry, you're ramping up in there. So be the best over there, have good company, don't ever feel alone, don't feel discouraged. As humans, we go through our waves of, feeling discouraged and feeling alone, but there are communities like this, like diversity and tech communities, they're very helpful, and feel free to reach out to any of us, also, and stay connected. That really helps long term.
I have something to add to that. Outside of my work in accessibility, I am a young woman in tech, and that is a big identity that I lean into. And at Microsoft, I've been at Microsoft for 2 years, straight out of college, so you can guess how old I am. And sometimes that, people make digs at that a lot in the workplace. So I have kind of two messages here. One for managers or people who've been in the industry a little bit longer. Reevaluate your jokes when they are age-related. It's not that I'm going to go home crying if you make a joke about, oh, Jashine's so young, haha, she's the only millennial in the room. I'm not going to go home crying, but that sends a message to me that you don't think that because I don't have a certain age or because I don't have a certain experience level, that my perspective and that my opinions are not credible. And that can subtly dig at you, and that can contribute to imposter syndrome, a significant amount. And so, the next time that someone gets their 25-year anniversary at Microsoft plaque and you raise your hand, you're like, oh, I'm so proud, I've worked here longer than some of you have been alive, maybe take a step back and think about what the ramifications of a comment like that is. I remember one of my first meetings, someone had a PowerPoint up, and one of the pictures was a slide projector. And immediately someone points to me and goes, oh, Jashine, do you even know what that is? It's like, first off, I'm not that young. I wasn't born yesterday. My AP Calculus teachers all used slide projectors, so I know what that is. But it's also just like, in that moment, you're trying to get a couple of cheap laughs, but subtly saying to me that I didn't warrant being there and I didn't warrant the space of being in that room, which is a more dangerous thing. But then, to the people who are a little bit younger in the room, who are stepping into, their junior, senior years of college, their internships, their first jobs, I want to say to you, you deserve to be where you are because you worked for it, not because you are a statistic, not because you're a token millennial, not because you fit a certain racial profile or anything, but because you worked your butt off and you deserve to be there. And that's something, especially in the first 6 months after I graduated, I just struggled so much with this imposter syndrome of, any day now they're going to realize that I do not know anything. But the truth of the matter is, even people who are way older than me feel like that in their role, and that's something that's prevalent at any stage of your career. So even if you're young, even if you feel like you don't have the experience, just remind yourself that you deserve to be where you are today. You deserve to take up that space, and be confident in yourself and your abilities.
I would like to say to tell a short story. In fact, my even if I'm a CEO of a startup that works with or works on intelligent system, the way was very long to get to this stage and very hard also. At the beginning, when I was pioneering my field in machine translation, I was the first Algerian researcher to work on AI dedicated to language processing. But being a woman, when you talk about AI dedicated to natural language processing, and especially when you are pioneering your field and you are the only researcher who is working on this field. So sometimes when I attended some workshops and was talking about my research, it happens that people were laughing at me. What? But you are not computer scientists. We don't know that. So I have read somewhere that if your ideas, if people don't laugh at your ideas, that they are not good enough. So what I wanted, that's what I wanted to point out. So never expect that people will tell you, yes, you are the best, and go ahead. Sometimes you will meet people who do not have the required background to understand what you are doing, and it's obvious that they will tell you that it's very bad and stop working on it. I remember I was the first time I was incubated as a startup. It was the very beginning. We had a coach that has no. I mean, I don't think that he should be a coach, because when I was working on a very important topic, and since he didn't have the right background, he was supposed to support us, but he didn't stop telling me, but why don't you start by just developing website? What do you understand in intelligent system? But I told him, but it's I work on AI, it's my field. But he couldn't get the point, right? So at the moment I thought on giving up on my on the idea and converting into a website developer. But I mean, I told myself, so I won't deserve my title. I was like in 2012, just 6 months after my graduation, I was considered by the Tech Women program as an emerging leader in technology. So I didn't want to give up on my idea, and I left the incubator, and I went to another incubator. I participated in what we call the Viatic program, which is organized by the U.S. Commercial and Law Program and the Algerian Ministry of Research and Higher Education. And there was a national contest, and we won. I won in the contest, and I was the only woman running a technology startup. And this was the first encouraging thing. So just I want to say that sometimes or often you meet people who will tell you don't do that, but be confident, since you are convinced in your ideas. Don't ask them to be specialized more than you. Just work. If you see that you are working on the good track, keep faith and work on what you are doing, and you will certainly meet someone who will believe in your work and will encourage you.
You have to believe before anyone else.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I did.
Yeah, it was perfect.
So I think we need
I just
to
need
leave.
to add one thing, if 1 minute only. At the beginning of my university, I had no computer at my house. And I'm here speaking to encourage women in technology. So because I had the passion, I had the curiosity, and my family support. So the family support is a really important thing, especially in the Arab countries. Just don't accept yourself to be labeled as woman. Make it a plus for you. And don't accept to be labeled. And don't accept your nieces or your daughters to be labeled just because they are women. I got the highest GPA from my BS degree, and I got rejected from many jobs because I'm a woman. I'm going to raise up children in the future. The job requires traveling, and you cannot travel, and because I wear this scarf. And I kept applying because I had the support of my family. So as they said, be confident, support other women, include yourself, just do your best, and be proud all the time.
So much great advice. So I could do this with you all day, but I do want to allow the audience to ask a couple questions. So if anyone has a question, come up to a mic.
Yes, hi. I was hoping to hear more about raising the next generation. I had heard some great examples in there, but as a member of the LGBTQ community with 5 white boy sons, I felt a special obligation to raise diversity champions. And I know that one of the best examples I can give to people is mentoring. When we have young people come into my organization, I take a special interest in introducing myself to them and encouraging them, especially the females or the people of color, to step out and to challenge especially those age gaps that you mentioned, Jasheen. That is one of the biggest things. I mentor a young female colleague who's 26, and I constantly challenge her to challenge the people who've been there for 20 years with her ideas. I say, your ideas are just as valid. You need to challenge people. And then I challenge you older people to listen to these younger people because they're coming in with new ideas and new technology that these people have no familiarity with. The greatest thing you can do is encourage people in your organization that are diverse to be proud and to do these things.
Yeah, I think what's interesting that you talked about challenging the older people as well. You need to adjust all their expectations. Whenever someone finds out I'm in the back of a taxi and they're like, oh, where do you work? Like Microsoft. Oh, you're in sales? I'm like, really? Like, no, I'm an engineer. Like, why would I have to be in sales, right? And then they're like, oh, I'm sorry. Oh, you're one of the smart ones. I'm like, what the hell are you talking about? like what the hell? Right, so, like, challenge them and correct their expectations on, no, not every black person at Microsoft is only in sales, right? I'm actually an engineer at Microsoft, and I'm very overt about correcting their expectations. So that's good to challenge the adults as well.
I think another thing to add as well is I think especially in my work in accessibility, I'm not someone that has a disability, yet I'm working in a space literally dedicated to people with disability. And the first 6 months, I was scared shitless. Like, I don't really know how else to put it. I was so worried I would offend someone or describe a disability in a way that was offensive or non-PC or what have you. And those first 6 months, I really had to lean into the discomfort because I was trying to elevate myself and enlighten myself in this space that I really had no understanding in. I really just had to lean into the discomfort. And I feel like that is a bit of a departure from this attitude around, we're in corporate America. We've got to be efficient. We've got to be productive. We've got to hit the bottom line and the P&L and all that stuff. And to really make space for diversity is something that has to be intentional and is a mental departure from where we maybe once were. And as a society, as corporate America is trying to evolve, we do have to take a step back and say, okay, it's okay to be uncomfortable. It's okay to make space for yourself as you're navigating those difficult conversations and those challenges. For example, the first couple of meetings that I had with a couple of colleagues who were blind, I actually totally screwed up, and I had everyone do a Post-it exercise where they had pros and cons with different Post-its, and I did not think that, maybe I would have blind people in this meeting, and they were not able to participate in that meeting. But they were so gracious afterwards. They told me, hey, next time just brainstorm with us in advance. But really in that first meeting, in those first couple of interactions, I wasn't scared of these people because they had disabilities. I was scared of my own discomfort. I noticed that, and it was a visceral feeling. And I think you, as a father championing diversity inclusion for your kids, you can give them that sort of green flag to feel uncomfortable and ask those questions. We've got Google, we've got Bing, pushing my Microsoft products here that can help you discover these things. But to really just be okay with the fact that you don't feel comfortable is a powerful asset that can help you get to those conversations and discussions.
That's a great point. One last question.
Yeah, just to raise a point. So speaking of feeling uncomfortable, okay, I'm a 50-year-old white guy who's, I have every privilege in the world. I am very uncomfortable right now, okay, really uncomfortable. But what I want to talk about is actually the reverse of what you were talking about, which is about age discrimination. The average, or the median, not the average, the median age at Facebook is 28. At Google it's 26. And as Donovan and I both know, we work in DevOps, there's an entire generation, and they are mostly white guys because they've been in the industry 30 years, and they were the only people in the industry 30 years ago, who are facing unemployment. I know a lot of my friends are unemployed. And so, the kind of things that you're talking about where you're saying, oh, you don't know what a slide projector is. Oh, you don't know what Instagram is. You don't know what Facebook is. You're not on WhatsApp. You're not on Twitter. We hear that as well, okay? And to come to your point, I absolutely agree that mentoring is a two-way street. So if we, looking at the key topic, my challenge for the younger generation is what can you do to not see the old people as adversaries and see them as, I've been a team leader, okay? I've coached people through divorce, through death of parents, through death of children, through cancer. I'm pretty sure I've got something to bring to the table as well. So thank you. So, just to say, there's a lot of ageism, and I'd really like to see ageism be talked about at the same level as gender and race and religion.
It's a good example of doors swing both ways. I tell that to a lot of people. They'll come at me. I'm like, you know what? You could have done the exact same thing. You're coming after me because I didn't make the initiative. You could have made the initiative. Like, that door swings both ways, and that's a good example of that. Because sometimes, like I said, I don't even have a Snapchat account. I don't ever tend to have a Snapchat account, and I hear people using it, and it's kind of funny that it kind of does dig at you the other way as well. So thanks for bringing that up. Don't feel uncomfortable, right? We all feel uncomfortable.
Yeah.
If I can just very quickly, we asked, how do we get the people, how do we help them build up and get the right skills? Again, I'm going to talk about how diversity, 70% of it's not clear. Disability, 70% of it can't be seen, okay? And that goes the same for skills. That's something we miss very clearly. A lot of the things that we think is preparation is like, oh, you got to go for that degree, get that thing. That's physical things that you can see. So I can tell you now that there's skills and capabilities, about 70% of it, because that's become the magic number. 80-20 is the old, 70-30 is the new, okay? So there's 70% of the capabilities that you are not seeing, and that's soft skills. I do a lot of talks on digital literacy. Please go and look at that. We need to teach our kids and our young people to be creative, to curate things, to be socially acceptable, understanding, etc., e-safety, all of those. That makes us more diverse with the technical skills. So soft skills is one of the most important glues that you can add to this.
All right. So we are out of time. We could take a, okay.
Thank you.
We're staying here for the day.
I do want to quickly add, sorry. Oh, we have another question?
Yeah, so my question is about hiring, right? I come from the academia field. I cannot hire the best because people like you guys, Microsoft, will pay the best better than I can do. So in my case, how can I still get the best and still try and become inclusive, especially with people of color and women?
That's a tough one.
What do you think,
Okay,
Rachel?
so something that is really important for me in a company is definitely them being bold about being inclusive. If you proudly state that's a part of your culture, is that everyone's going to be welcome. We have open door policies. Everyone has a voice. That's something really appealing to me, and I would rather work for a company that has that. Like, if I have a choice between a company that has that and pays less money and a company that does not have that and pays twice as much money, I'm going to go with the one that has a good culture.
I feel like this also comes back to what Nisreen champions is, like, obviously there's not as many women as there are men, just because computer science education has not been as emphasized as much. And, if we have more women coding, then we'll have more of a pool of women going into both industry and academia. So yes, like, we absolutely need the push at the, in those jobs, having representation, but we also need to continue advocating for equal representation of girls in the classroom for computer science, and also fostering strong role models, because you can't picture yourself in something that you don't have a picture of to be an example of, right? So that's absolutely part of it.
And the companies as well. As she mentioned, we need to work in the companies to have that great environment for the women. This is really important so they can feel comfortable and they continue. 35% in the Arabic countries of women, 35% they are women who are pursuing university majors in technology. However, the number is decreasing when it comes to work till 15 to 20%. Why? Because also the companies need to have the right environment for women to work in technology.
Just a quick one back to the gentleman. So I think 70%, I'm joking. But I think we've got to be very careful when we talk about money, because I know a lot of people who earns a lot of money who aren't nice people, okay? So don't for one moment think because you can't get the top dogs who gets the most money from other companies that they're the best. I was someone who for many years didn't earn good money, and I still worked hard and I had a lot of passion. There's a lot of diamonds out there. You need to go spot those diamonds and help them become even better diamonds, okay? So be careful to qualify money or what you earn or what your status is to a good person.
And luckily, money isn't everyone's currency, believe it or not. It sounds weird to say that, but some people are highly motivated by money. Some people are highly motivated by the vision and the passion of the company for which they work. And those are the people you're going to want anyway, right? So hopefully, if you position your company correctly, you're going to attract the people that are going to best help you be successful. They might not be, you might lose a few to us because we can pay more, but they might not have had the drive and the determination that you need at your company. Not that they're bad people because they came to us because we can pay them more. I mean, a lot of us are pushing ourselves as hard as we can and educating and working so that we can make and support our families. That's easier with money. But I don't think you're losing the best people, like as she just pointed out, just because someone else could pay them more, right? That's a tough problem.
I've got to give him some credit, which he didn't give himself. Okay, don't also think that yes, it is about who you surround yourself with and about building the best team, but you need the best manager to be the best team. So become that best, amazing person that you want in your team, and you will attract the best team ever.
For sure, for sure.
One more over here.
One more?
All right, last one.
I just wanted to say I really appreciate the people on here, especially the women who were able to sell themselves and promote themselves. Because at my generation, I'm 51. Most people went, "Oh shucks, no, not," like they don't say, "Hey, I'm this, I do this, I can do that." And I think that's the biggest thing we can pass on to the other generation is be proud of your accomplishments. Don't step away from it. Ask for that promotion. Say, I want more money, because more and more studies show that men go in and have a dollar amount and say, I want this much, I want this raise, I deserve this promotion, I want that job. And whereas women kind of, oh gosh, I don't know, oh, I'll take whatever you give me. And so I really appreciate that every single woman on here is not afraid to promote themselves and say their skills. So I applaud you guys and thank you. You really inspired me.
Thank you. Great point. Great point. Thank you, everyone, for joining us and for our wonderful questions. And, of course, thank you so much to the panel for being here.
Thank you.
Yeah.